Hey everyone, this is Randy from BibleBuyingGuide.com. Today I'm taking a look at a very special Bible. This is the latest Bible from Schuyler. This is the Stridon NASB in dark green goatskin. I like their boxes. Alright, so we have a dark green goatskin. This is the first green that I've seen from them. I've always gotten black or different colors, but it does have the standard green that you're used to from Schuyler. A little bit pebbly, you can feel it. It is raised. It does look good. It does feel good. The Jerusalem cross stamped onto the front with perimeter stitching all around. 6 raised spine hubs with gold printing on the spine. We have green 3/8 inch or 10 millimeter ribbons. Now, they come out 3.5 inches. And then our liner is brown end calf split, edge lined. There's the edge line tab. And then our gold gilt line all the way around. The leather itself is soft and very flexible. It's not overly flexible to the point where it's too floppy and too hard to hold, but at the same time, this is a very flexible cover. I don't find it too difficult to hold, though. The tab itself is a little stiffer than I'd like. Just a touch on the stiff side. It's not so bad that I can't use it. It doesn't actually close in Genesis 1, but it does try to. We have presentation pages in the front with marriages, births, deaths, and these are the thick, non-glossy pages, and there's some in the back also that match the thickness, and these are really good for giving it structure. I'm glad they include them. And then there's the edge-lined page. That's always glued, and that's on purpose, so don't try to tear that out. And then we have brown head tailbands, Smythe sewn, of course. I usually forget to say that nowadays. And then art gilt with red under gold. And this is made in the Netherlands by Royal Youngblood, typeset by 2K Denmark. And since it is Royal Youngblood, it does include the 28 GSM French milled paper. The French paper, I can't even pronounce the name of it. But that's the paper from France. This is the 28 GSM with the coating and with the titanium pigment, which is highly opaque for how thin it is. And it's easy enough to turn. You can grab it and separate the pages, no trouble at all. I hadn't had any issues turning the pages. And then here is our layout, and this is an amazing layout. I typically read from paragraph, but I haven't had any issues reading from this one. It's a single column, verse by verse, with section headings, chapter numbers, verse numbers, and the chapter and verse numbers in the footer, all in a dark red. I love that red. It's a beautiful red. About 14 words per line, and this does give you a lot of white space at the end of lines, and then almost an inch, 7/8 of an inch, wide margin on the outside. Then in the footer we have our references on one side in the inner margin, and then the footnotes in the outer margin separated by a line. That makes it easy for both to use both of these. I like that. It has the 95,000 cross references from Lockman, and it uses the Lockman style guide, which means that they all start with A and they all start with 1 every single time. 10-point font, lots of space between the lines. It's easy to read from, easy to preach from. I had no issues preaching from it. Verse by verse, of course, helps with that. The paragraphs start with a bold verse number. So anytime you see a bold verse number, that's the beginning of a paragraph. This is a black letter edition. And it does have letters that are indented. It does have a poetic setting. Pretty. I like this. I hope they make a KJV exactly like this, paired with poetry and everything. I hope it's exactly like this. I love this layout. Beautiful. Easy to read from. Easy to preach from. The margin isn't so large that you feel like you're carrying a wide margin Bible that you've not written in if you don't want to write in it. And at the same time, it's not so small that you can't use it. You're not going to get extensive notes in here, but you can get a reference. You can get just a quick little point, or you can get a symbol or something along that line. Books start on the same page that the previous book ends. See, here we can see the scheme of references in the inner column, references in the inner margin, and then footnotes in the outer margin. Across the top, we have the book name, chapter numbers in the outer margin, and then page number in the inner margin. They're also in red. And then here you can see it is a black letter text. It's printed with line matching, and it works really well. Everything's lined up really well. Show through is minimal. The only places it's noticeable is at the end of verses. It does cause a lot of white space to have these verses like this, but to me, I know that this is going to sound weird, but I actually think that's easier to read. The reason is, when you open up a page and it's nothing but text, from one side to the other, just text all the way down, it's easy to get lost where you're at. With all these all these breaks in the page, all the white space and the section headings, to me that makes it easier to discern where I'm at. Might just be me, I don't know, but I actually find this easier to read. And then we have Old Testament quotes in all caps. It does include italics for supplied words. And this is the 2020 edition of the NASB. It does have enough inner margin space to bring that text out of the gutter so it doesn't bend away from you. So I found it easy to read and preach from. That helps a lot. Now, I've not written on this. I've never written on the 28 GSM paper, and I don't know that I will. I like it the way it is, but if you wanted to write on there, I don't think it'd be a problem. And then in the back, we have the Lockman Concordance. This is a good concordance. So it includes names. It also includes synonyms and related words. And then the references are also in red. And there are a few that include a few explanations. So here's how many we have for God. Starts here, and then it gives you the explanation, deity, eternal one. And then God, false deity. Then goddess, godless, godliness, godly. The explanation of them. And then back here we have our Schuyler maps. I love the Schuyler maps. They're beautiful colors. 12 maps, and here's the list of maps. Beautiful colors, annotated, easy to read, easy to follow, non-glossy pages. This is one page I would like to see changed. To me, that's difficult to read in the inner margin there. I'd like that to be brought out just a little bit. I realize that's going to reduce the size of the map, but I would rather do that and make it a little bit more easier, a little easier to read there. So if I could change one thing in this Bible, that might be it right there. There's a chart. There's another one this one's a little easier to read than the other, but still, I would like to bring them apart out of the gutter. They go a little too far in the gutter for me. And then an index to maps. This is a 3-page index, and to me, that makes the maps that much easier to use. So I'm glad that they include an index. So let's look at the weight and the size. Now, all publishers give you the trim size. The trim size is about 6 inches. I give you the overall size, and the reason for that is if you're buying a case to put this in, you need to know the overall size of this thing. So you're looking at about 6.5, 6 5/8 by 9 3/4, by 1.5, and then 2 pounds 11 ounces. First Bible I like to compare it to is the Traveris, and there's a really good reason I'm comparing to the Traveris. Traveris is slightly smaller, same thickness, slightly smaller footprint, same paper and all that. But here you'll see why I want to compare it to the Traveris. It is the same font. At least it seems to be. Seems to be the same font. Seems to be the same font size. So if you take a Traveris and add references to it, I think that's what you've got. Of course, the Traveris has its own design with verse numbers in the out in the margins, but here's what that looks like. Quick comparison. Next is the Quintel. Now, I don't have the NASB Quintel. I've only ever had one, and I bought it for our giveaway, for our 10th anniversary giveaway. So I don't actually have it. I never actually reviewed it. But I will compare it to the New King James, which is very similar in its layout. So it's a little thinner. Footprint is about the same. Just about the same. Same paper, different font. Here's how they compare. Larger font in the Quintel. While we're at it, we might as well compare to the personal size Quintel in the NASB. I'm a big fan of the personal size Quintel, one of my favorite Bibles of all time. Same paper, and then here's how they compare. Quite a bit smaller font. And the next is the single column NASB reference Bible in the Premier Collection from Zondervan. And the reason I'm including this one is it is the only other reference edition I have in NASB in verse by verse. So here is how they compare. Now the Premier Collection is a lot thicker. This one includes a 36 GSM paper, so it's a lot larger Bible. The font is about the same size, but it is darker in the Premier Collection. Here's how they compare. A little bit difficult to show the two together. Now, this edition of the Premier Collection goes a little bit too far in the gutter. I've heard that they fixed that in the in the current edition. So that is my quick look at the new Stridon from Schuyler. They've got a winner on their hands with this design. The Bible itself is the same, basically the same size as the Quintel. But what sets it apart is that single column, wide margin, verse by verse setting. And it didn't sacrifice anything for that setting. It still has the poetic setting. It's still easy to read. It's easy to preach from because of being verse by verse. Everything stands out, easy enough to follow along. This is an excellent design. I personally hope that they make this in all translations, and I hope that they keep the poetic setting from the Traveris when they do the King James. That would be a dream Bible for me. And this is excellent. I like it. The only thing I would change would be these maps. I'd bring them out of the gutter a little bit because that's a little bit too difficult to use. Other than that, that's my only complaint. and that's a minor complaint, really. So if you're interested in a Stridon, I recommend it. I recommend it a lot. I don't know their publishing schedule, so I don't know what other translations they have planned. I don't know what the schedule is for those translations, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the Stridon. So evangelicalbible.com, which is the parent company of Schuyler Bibles, they did provide this in exchange for an honest review. If you have any questions, let me know. I will post links to evangelicalbible.com where you can make a purchase, and also I'll post links to BibleBindGuide.com to the written review, which has even more detail than I'll always go into in my videos. So thanks for watching.